2, 1.
Welcome into MASN All Access from the MASN newsroom on this rainy Thursday afternoon. I'm your host, Paul Mancano. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, it's always good to hear from Trey Mancini, and we got an opportunity to do that yesterday as he hopped on a Zoom call with reporters, talked primarily about the nearly 5,000 fight t-shirts that were sold and nearly $80,000 that were raised for the Colorectal Cancer Alliance. And later on in the show, I'll be speaking to the CEO of the CCA. But first, let's get a health update from Trey, who discussed his recovery and what the next few months are going to look like as he gets ready to resume baseball activities.
So I work out 5 times a week, doing different stuff, and I'm hitting those days too. So right now I'm still just doing T work. It's something you want to slowly progress into because I had a pretty good amount of time off. So you really want to ease into it, retrain your muscles. Sometimes I have the inkling sometimes to go in there and take swings at 100% right at the beginning. And you got to remember you're not totally conditioned for that. But I've already built up a pretty good amount, and I'm doing some short overhand tossing pretty soon. So, by the time, especially December rolls around in a few weeks, I'll probably even be ahead of where I normally am in the off season.
Trey has become such an advocate for the CCA, and he talked in particular about the money raised and the work done behind the scenes as they were able to sell nearly 5,000 shirts.
We were able to raise over $80,000 for the Colorectal Cancer Alliance through the t-shirt sales, which is absolutely incredible and surpassed my expectations, and I think the expectations of a lot of others. So it's just another testament to everybody in Baltimore and their support and rallying around me during this really tough time. It just means the world to me. And I've gotten to know a lot of amazing people that work with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance and people who have had colon cancer as well. So they all helped me tremendously throughout my process. So being able to give back to them is really important to me and something that I'm going to continue to do in the future.
Now we're pleased to be joined on MASN All Access by Michael Sapienza, who is the CEO of the Colorectal Cancer Alliance. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Paul.
So first off, could you tell us a little bit about what you guys do at the CCA?
Yeah, absolutely. The Alliance is the largest colorectal cancer advocacy organization in the world. We strive to get as many people screened for colorectal cancer as possible, especially right now during the pandemic. We've seen, unfortunately, a large decrease in the number of screenings. We support families, and caregivers during their journey, about 325,000 of them last year. And then we fund, critical research to lead towards a cure for colon cancer.
And so this partnership with Trey Mancini, how did this come about back when Trey was diagnosed?
Yeah, so as many of you know, Trey was diagnosed right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, literally the first week. And one of our allies, actually, who lives in Baltimore and knew Trey, connected him to the organization. And, lo and behold, he's a great guy. Incredible spokesperson. Unfortunately, more and more young people are being diagnosed with this disease. And, he has been an absolute rock star advocate, really talking about the disease and really helping get rid of the stigma, especially for young people.
Yeah, what does it mean to have someone as high profile as Trey Mancini get involved with the organization and be a spokesperson? Yeah,
well, the T-shirt sales that he did should speak for itself. Millions of impressions on some of his, outreach via Twitter, and then our amplification. I think it's going to mean, millions of people that would maybe not have seen this news or really understand what colorectal cancer is, and eventually lives saved because of his hard work and his advocacy.
Yeah, how much of an impact, especially do those 5,000 fight T-shirt sales mean for you guys, and the $80,000 donated to the CCA?
Yeah, so I'll just give you one snippet. So we had about 45 applications for our research grants this year, and that $80,000 will allow us to fund an additional grant to help find out why young onset colorectal cancer is happening at a higher and higher incidence rates across the country.
Wow, that's awesome. And you mentioned the Never Too Young campaign that Trey has got involved with. Obviously, he's just 28 years old, but what kind of message would you have for especially the young people listening, the importance of screening and being aware of colorectal cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing I would say is be your own advocate. If you have blood in your stool, change in bowel habits, unexplained weight loss, night sweats, make sure you see your doctor, and you have to say, I need a colonoscopy or I need to get a non-invasive screening test immediately. On average, people under the age of 50 see 2 to 3 doctors before they're actual diagnosed. And what that means is a later diagnosis. So make sure your own advocate, if you have any of those symptoms, see a GI or a primary care physician as soon as possible.
It's a great message. We really appreciate the time. Michael Sapienza, who is the CEO of the Colorectal Cancer Alliance. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your message.
Thank you, Paul.
Can't let you forget about the MASN All Access podcast. Myself and Brendan Mortensen are your 2 hosts, and we discuss everything and anything Orioles baseball related. You can catch the podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it on Facebook. Really, anywhere you get your podcasts, you can get the MASN All Access podcast. Thanks to Michael Sapienza for joining today's show. Thanks, of course, to Bobby Blanco and Hannah Broder behind the scenes. I'm Paul Mancano. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.